Hello, everybody. It is January 10th, 2023. Had an interesting article and video I wanted to talk about and share with everyone here. It's about I heard about it about a week ago or so, I guess. It's about a newly elected Gen Z Congress rep from Florida. His name is Maxwell Frost. And like I said, I found an article and a video short, only like 5 minutes. I'll link them both down below, talking about this newly elected Gen Z representative. And I thought it was interesting because it talks about his housing struggles as well as personal financial struggles. I believe he's 25 years old, and basically he ran a campaign to get elected in Florida, and won. Um, and he ran up a bunch of credit card debt and worked as an Uber driver, basically, to get elected. So I think the last time that I heard about something like this, or someone in a similar situation, was when AOC got elected. And I think she was in a similar situation when she went to DC, and was trying to find housing. So let me pull up the article here real quick. One second. So this article is from New York Times, and the title is Gen Z Problems. Maxwell Frost is struggling to rent an apartment. So, like I said, you can read the article if you'd like. It's not very long. Basically, in the article, it goes over, um, him as well as a few other people, I believe, in the DC area, and their housing struggles, trying to find housing. I just want to go to the end of the article here, and kind of read just the last paragraph or two, that kind of sums up the article. I thought it was interesting. So let's see. Uh, it says Mr. Frost has a budget of less than 2,000 a month. This is for an apartment in DC. Mr. Frost has a budget of less than $2,000 a month. He is looking for a studio apartment within walking distance of the US Capitol, since he does not intend to have a car or a driver to chauffeur him. Of course, he's not going to have a driver. That's hilarious. His geographic hopes have restricted his apartment hunt to a few gentrifying neighborhoods. Unsure when he will finally secure a place to live, he plans to continue couch surfing for a few months to save money and find an apartment in one of his desired neighborhoods. Quote, I was very close to taking out a loan, which would mean spending a lot of personal money to pay back the loan, end quote, Mr. Frost said. Quote, rent problems are not just mine. There are millions of Americans that have these same problems. So I thought that was just interesting, that last kind of tidbit there about the fact that he was thinking about taking out a loan to rent an apartment. Now, I haven't heard that one. That's a new one to me. Obviously people take out loans to buy a home, whatever. You start a business, things like that, but I've never heard of somebody taking out a loan to rent an apartment. So I'm assuming, I don't even know what bank you would go to or how you would get that loan, but I'm assuming the only way, if that is possible, that would be possible, is based on the fact that he, was elected, uh, and is going to have a salary for the next whatever couple of years. Now, I don't know how that would work if you were. I don't think that would work if you weren't like a federal employee or you were on some sort of contract, because it's based off of that knowledge. Like if you're just a normal citizen and you get a job and you would try to get a loan for an apartment, well, you could get fired from that job. So I don't know. That's interesting. I don't know how that all works, but I thought that was kind of crazy um, to hear him say that. That's crazy. So um, let's see. I wanted to play the video as well. Again, he's in this short interview here on ABC News. This is on YouTube. It's only like 5 minutes long, so I'd like to play that and maybe comment on a few things that he says here. Let me pull that up.
At just 25 years old, Maxwell Frost became an overnight political sensation after winning a 10-way primary for an open house seat in Florida. When he takes office next week, the gun control activist and part-time Uber driver will become the youngest member of Congress, where the average lawmaker is more than twice his age. We sat down together at the iconic Capitol Hill restaurant Bullfeathers to talk about his new role and the future of the Democratic Party. You haven't been sworn in yet, but do you feel like a member of Congress yet?
I'm definitely feeling the love, especially from a lot of the Democrats, especially in the different caucuses I'm joining.
And when you were running, you had to do some Uber work, right? You worked as an Uber driver. Because you needed to live while you're also running for Congress. What's it going to be like up here? I mean, this is not cheap.
So I think just real quick, just to stop that, I think that's kind of funny. It's almost like the host or the interviewer here thinks it's hilarious that, he had to work as an Uber driver while he was trying to survive and run for Congress. So I think that just right there shows you a lot of the people establishment, whatever people's attitudes who are not struggling with housing towards other people who are. It's kind of I don't know, not good, kind of smug. But anyways.
You have to.
Yeah. I mean, it's not cheap. I'm dealing with it right now, getting denied from apartments, trying to figure out where to live because I have bad credit. Probably just gonna have to couch surf for a little bit.
You're 25, soon to be 26, but you've actually been at this a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're kind of like a veteran political activist.
I've been in this for 10 years. Actually, just last night, I spoke at the vigil for all victims of gun violence right down the road at St. Mark's Episcopal Church. And I've been going to that vigil for 10 years, since I was 15 years old.
And it was Sandy Hook, which was one of those tragedies that, you can think, where were you when you heard the news of that horrific massacre? But that's what got you into this.
That's what got me into it. Yeah, I mean, I went to Arts High School, middle school. Before every jazz band concert, my best friends and I would go across the street to this restaurant, load up on a ton of junk food. And I remember there eating, and there was a silence that fell across the restaurant. We looked up at the television screens and saw that somebody walked into an elementary school in Newtown, Connecticut, and murdered 20 children and 6 teachers. And I remember at the show that night, I was playing, couldn't think straight, kept looking at the exit, so I was very anxious. And it's really what propelled me to come up to here to the vigil and dedicated my life to fighting for a world where there's no gun violence.
So I saw one of your campaign ads features this interaction you had with DeSantis.
2 months ago, I confronted Governor DeSantis on ending gun violence. And what did he say?
What was going on there?
Yeah, so look, Governor DeSantis never comes to Orlando. When he does, it's to either do a press conference where he's spewing bigotry and hate, or to make money for his friends, which is exactly what he was doing there. He was a special guest at a private thing for a podcaster. And so we, in the spirit of direct action and protest, we decided to show up. And look, I didn't stand up and yell and curse at him or anything. I just stood up and said, Governor, what's your plan to end gun violence? We're dying. And this was about a week and a half after the Uvalde shooting. He hadn't said a single word about ending gun violence. And so we came to him with a plea. And what I got in return was nobody wants to hear from you, getting dragged out by security, having popcorn thrown at me, and people yelling curse words and racial slurs.
And what was the reception that you got for that ad? I mean, that kind of, and the moment went viral.
Yeah.
I mean, getting shouted down by the Republican governor as a young candidate, as a Democrat, must actually not been a bad thing.
Yeah, well, we decided to flip it on its head and use it, and we put it on broadcast in the district. We, got nothing but people giving us calls and sending us messages saying, "I saw your ad. I haven't seen an ad like that ever or in a long time."
But you were sent to campaign in Georgia. You hadn't even been sworn in yet as a member of Congress, but you were campaigning for Raphael Warnock.
Yeah.
And I noticed you playing drums.
Oh, yeah.
So just to say something real quick, they were talking about the whole gun control debate. I want this to be more about the housing issue, but I just want to comment on that real quick because they were talking about it. I think that's one of his main whatever, one of his main objectives as somebody going into government is to help with gun violence. Just as far as like my opinion on that, um, I totally believe that people should have the right to bear arms and should be able to own a gun to protect themselves. Um, I think I just hope that more, like, as young people are going into the government, that more people are focusing on like the root cause of a lot of these issues. If you look at, a lot of other places in the world, like the UK, for instance, where it's hard to get a gun, or you cannot own whatever a gun, personal protection. Um, there's a lot of like knife violence, machete violence. That's like pretty typical over there. It happens all the time. Knife fights, knife attacks, machete attacks, things like that. So, you have a lot of other areas in the world, Australia, Japan. I don't think you can own a handgun. Places like that. I What I'm trying to say is, people who are going to want to harm people, they're going to find a way to do it. Now, I understand like the argument that some liberal people have as far as like, well, we need to get rid of like the automatic weapons and these, whatever extended clips and things like that, to where they're designed to be able to shoot and potentially kill a large number of people. Like that definitely makes sense. But also, like, on the same note, um, if there's somebody who out there who is insane, is in hell and is hell bent on wanting to hurt as many people as possible, they're going to find a way to do it. They're going to drive a car into a crowd, or they're going to find a way to make a bomb, or whatever it is. So I'm sure there's many ways. I don't sit around thinking about that all day long, but my point is, I think there's many ways that you could think of to try to hurt people. So going back to getting to the root of the problem, I hope more politicians, instead of just going with some talking point that sounds, like simple and easy, they actually focus more on, why is there so much gun violence? What areas in these cities what areas are the most gun violence coming from? Well, I could tell you without even looking at any statistics that if you look at any city in the US, the majority of the places that it's happening are in the areas that are the lowest income. So how do you, help people's overall standard of living or mental health, things like that. So anyways, that's my little rant on that subject, and I'll play the rest of the video here.
At a Students for Warnock event.
That was in an indoor skate park. It's one of the coolest campaign events I've ever been to.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we're going to be seeing more of that? I mean, you're a jazz drummer?
Yeah. I play jazz, hip hop, different styles. Yeah, of course. I mean, something that I want to work on. It's a bit more extracurriculars, bringing the arts more on the hill, having concerts on the hill, stuff like that. I think it's important. The arts it's really important to me. I mean, it's at the level of politics for me.
What do you want to kind of define your time in Congress?
Yeah, I mean, I want to get things done, right? And I want to make sure that I know we have to compromise to get things done, especially in this next Congress, but I never want to lose sight of our North Star. I think we're in this politics now where people are scared to talk about their North Star, even in my own party, right? And I think it's important that we not lose sight of that. Healthcare for everybody, ending gun violence, combating the climate crisis. These things are really important. And even though we're not going to get it next year, you can't take a first step in a journey if you don't know where you're going, right?
With Democrats.
So there you go. I just want to point out real quick, he points out his North Star as far as objectives. He pointed out three things, healthcare for every U.S. citizen, which I agree with, climate change, doing whatever we can do to, slow down if there is any human negative impact on the climate, slow that down. Again, I think that's a whole nother topic where there's ways to debate that. And then gun violence was his third objective. But so you have these three broad, objectives, And it's easy to just say it, but I hope that they focus more again on what are the root causes and how can we really do things that actually impact these objectives. So let me play the rest of the video here.
Of a debate between those that want to take the incremental win and those that say, no, we've got to hold out for something bigger.
Yeah, I mean, I think it can seem that way, and I think that's part of it, but I think it's less of an ideological battle and more of a battle of figuring out what are we talking about and what are we doing in this moment. It's not that progressives and it's not that me and that I don't believe in incremental change, right? I've been working in gun violence for 10 years. We just got some incremental change with the bipartisan gun safety package that was passed. It wasn't everything that we need, but it's a good first step to ensuring that we end gun violence. I think it's important to realize that it's okay to ask for a lot. In fact, that's why people have sent us here. It doesn't mean we're not going to compromise for something else, but it means we shouldn't show up at the debate already at the compromise.
Our thanks to Maxwell Frost. Hi, everybody.
Okay, so that's the end of the video there. I think it's somewhat interesting that, a lot of the talk that has been about this guy is because of the fact that, back to the whole main topic here is the fact that, his housing and debt struggles and the lack of accessibility to these positions of power within the government due to um, the wealth gaps. It's much easier for people who have financial backing or are independently wealthy to get into politics, basically. So I think it's kind of interesting that he didn't mention that as one of his main objectives that he wanted to change or hope to change is the whole affordable housing piece of the equation here. So I just wanted to say that as far as Gen Z and millennials in the whole affordable housing piece, I think there's like a lot of interesting possibilities in the future. I was just kind of thinking back to when I was in high school and I graduated high school, which was in 2009, and what the overall societal expectations were versus today. I think today there's a lot more flexibility and options to what people think is acceptable. If when I was graduating high school, if you were to tell people, family, whatever, that you're not going to go to college and you're going to go live in a van and you're going to work remotely or you're going to travel around and work, people would think you're basically like insane. So I think there's a lot less stigma to the whole like nomadic van life type lifestyle. And I think it would be interesting to challenge any cities in the US or cities that are looking to help attract more young people to their cities, whether it's Gen Zs or millennials, new college grads, and how they could potentially cater to people that are living that sort of lifestyle. I think there's going to be a lot of people that want to have a more flexible lifestyle. They want to reduce expenses. And I think a good way to do that is for somebody that is open to it is the van life lifestyle. If you can work remotely or, you can travel and work. I think a lot of people are going to be wanting to do that. So I don't know what a city could do to attract. It depends on what city it is, obviously. Attract people that are living that sort of lifestyle. Obviously, New York City is going to be totally different than somewhere where I am, like in Phoenix or like LA, where it's a massive sprawling metropolis versus a very densely populated city like New York. I don't think there's a lot you could really do in New York City as far as trying to attract those types of people versus a city where you have the actual, real estate, the land to I don't know, whatever, develop some, whether it's safe places to park or access to, nice facilities like shower, whatever, internet, cafes, stuff like that, I think would be interesting for business people, concepts to come up with. I think there's a huge opening for some sort of concept. And this could be for profit or nonprofit, what your objectives are. But as far as just overall facilities like um, shower and basically internet, honestly, um, I think there's a lot of growth that could be done there because people need those facilities. Like you saw when you have something like COVID happen, where a lot of people who were living that nomadic lifestyle, they were using gyms, to shower in, um, and whatever, potentially gain access to internet, stuff like that, and those were all closed down. Um, so I think a lot of people would be interested in that. Uh, whatever, interested in that as a product or a business. And then also on the other end, as far as like a nonprofit, obviously, um, uh, you have the issue of homeless people and the fact that they don't have access to take a shower or clean themselves properly is a huge public health issue for them and for everyone else that should be addressed. So, let's see. Were there any other points here that I wanted to make about? Anyways, I thought I don't know a whole lot about this Maxwell Frost, his background as far as just like education. Um, but he seems like a decently smart dude, and he's a Democrat. Again, I don't want to get political as far as Republicans versus Democrats. Personally, I identify uh, more as like an independent. I would vote for either side, honestly, if there was somebody that was reasonable and that I thought would actually do something beneficial for the country. Um, anyways, I don't think that there's any more that I want to add on that subject. I don't know that I'm missing anything that I was kind of thinking of. Um, Maybe one more thing that I'd like to add too, just as far as like hopes for the future, as far as getting to like these politicians or whatever, as far as getting, I really hope again that they more focus on the root cause of problems in this country and not just kind of these talking points. Again, back to like if I was voting for somebody, and the reason why I am independent is because I think there could be a good candidate on either side sometimes. Um, but a lot of times I think people get caught up in, whatever, what these politicians are saying as far as their talking points, but what can they really do realistically to change things in a more positive way? You look at most Republican candidates. Well, I totally agree with smaller government and less spending. But when you look at any of these people, when Trump was in office, he was in favor of lower interest rates and stimulus and this sort of spending. So it's like half the time they don't even act on whatever the policies that they're they're kind of claiming to run on, or the platforms. So, anyways, there's another video that I want to cover in the future here, an article that has to do with the housing. And I'll get to that maybe the next video. It's a company that generates or creates the software that a lot of these apartments use across the country, and it generates the pricing and how that software pushes up the pricing in these cities. So, anyways, I think that's it for this video. Thanks for listening. I'd be interested to hear anybody's comments below. About any of those topics, housing, whatever. And yeah, catch you on the next one. Thanks, guys. Later.